In a stunning turn of events that has left the people of Burkina Faso and the international community in shock, alarming reports have emerged suggesting that Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the charismatic leader and transitional president of Burkina Faso, may have been poisoned by none other than a trusted member of his inner security circle. Captain Traoré, who rose to power in September 2022 following a military coup, has been seen by many as a defiant symbol against Western influence, foreign military presence, and terrorist operations in the Sahel. His powerful speeches, his populist approach, and his refusal to be dictated by foreign powers won him a strong following among the youth and revolution-minded citizens of the region, but it seems his bold stance may have painted a target on his back. Sources close to the presidency, who have asked to remain anonymous due to the sensitive nature of the situation, claim that the poisoning was not accidental, nor was it random. According to these insiders, the poisoning was orchestrated as part of a coordinated effort by terrorist factions who have been consistently pushed back by Traoré's aggressive anti-insurgency policies. These groups, reportedly growing desperate under the pressure of military offensives, allegedly offered a substantial sum of money, rumored to be in the millions of dollars, to anyone within the president's circle who could eliminate him. And, disturbingly, it appears one of his own bodyguards may have taken that offer. The bodyguard in question, whose identity has not yet been officially disclosed, was reportedly arrested by military intelligence after inconsistencies were noticed in the president's food and beverage regimen. Reports suggest that Traoré fell suddenly ill during a high-level security meeting, displaying symptoms that doctors initially believed were from stress or food poisoning. However, lab tests reportedly conducted later pointed toward the presence of a rare toxin not commonly found in foodborne illnesses, raising immediate red flags. Security footage and internal communications were swiftly reviewed, and the bodyguard was detained after inconsistencies in his movements and activities were uncovered. According to one unconfirmed source, he was caught trying to flee the capital with an unregistered satellite phone and large amounts of cash, possibly the first payment for the job. As of now, the presidency has neither confirmed nor denied these allegations. The official statement from the communications office merely states that President Traoré is under medical observation following a health incident, and that investigations are underway to determine the cause. But the silence has only fueled speculation. Many in the public are comparing this alleged plot to past political assassinations in Africa, covert operations masked as accidents, illnesses, or sudden disappearances. The timing of this incident is also deeply suspicious. Just days before falling ill, Traoré had delivered a fiery speech warning foreign mercenaries, intelligence agencies, and terrorist organizations that their time in Burkina Faso is over. He vowed to purge the nation of corruption, outside manipulation, and criminal networks. Now the question must be asked, did that speech seal his fate? The reaction across the nation has been tense. Supporters have taken to the streets demanding answers, while opposition figures are calling for transparency and an independent investigation. Social media is flooded with hashtags like the Justice for Traore and Burkina Stand Strong, with many users warning against foreign interference and betrayal from within. Meanwhile, anti-terror operations in the north of the country have reportedly been put on hold as the military regroups in the wake of this internal breach. Some analysts warn this may give armed groups a dangerous window of opportunity to strike again. If these allegations are true, the implications are severe, not just for Burkina Faso, but for the entire Sahel region. The idea that terrorist factions could penetrate the highest level of government security with a simple bribe sends a chilling message to other nations battling similar threats. It raises questions about loyalty, integrity, and how deeply insurgent networks have infiltrated the structures meant to stop them. But amidst the speculation, one thing remains clear. The fate of Captain Ibrahim Traoré could shift the trajectory of an entire nation. Whether he survives this alleged attack or not, Burkina Faso stands at a crossroads, a moment that could define its sovereignty, its security, and its future. Will the truth ever be fully known? Will justice be served? Or will this just become another unsolved mystery in the long and tragic saga of African politics? Only time will tell. But for now, the eyes of the world are on Ouagadougou, and the people are waiting, not just for answers, but for justice. As the dust begins to settle from the alleged poisoning attempt on Captain Ibrahim Traoré, yet another storm brews within the corridors of Burkina Faso's fragile power structure. This time, it revolves around a secret document, one that, if authenticated, could expose a covert agreement between a high-ranking military official and a foreign private military company operating in the shadows of West Africa. The document allegedly outlines a plan to install a puppet leadership in Ouagadougou in exchange for mining rights in the country's gold-rich regions. The leak comes from an unknown source within the intelligence community who claims to have intercepted a transmission between an officer stationed near Kaya and a foreign handler speaking French with a distinctly European accent. The document, labeled Phase 2 Transition Protocol, outlines a chilling roadmap. Destabilize the current leadership, capitalize on the political vacuum, and position a pro-corporate figurehead who would greenlight operations in exchange for power and protection. And here's where it gets even darker. The document references code names, one of which, Falcon Echo, is believed by insiders to be none other than a current member of Traoré's transitional cabinet. Though the name hasn't been confirmed, speculation is rife, and trust within the government is crumbling. This alleged betrayal has sparked a wave of paranoia within the military. Loyalty tests, surveillance, and secret detainments are reportedly increasing. Soldiers are being shuffled around rapidly, especially those with known foreign contacts. And according to one journalist who's now in hiding, several whistleblowers have already gone missing under mysterious circumstances. At the heart of the issue lies a single question. How far will foreign interests go to secure control over Africa's untapped wealth? Burkina Faso holds some of the continent's richest gold reserves, much of which remains under state control, especially since Traoré's administration began renegotiating contracts and reviewing the activities of foreign-owned mining firms. His bold stance angered not just terrorists, but possibly powerful international players with billions of dollars at stake. If the document is real, and if this plan is indeed in motion, then Traoré's poisoning may have been just the beginning. A soft coup cloaked in diplomacy and contracts may soon follow, not with tanks in the streets, but with pens and briefcases behind closed doors. The people of Burkina Faso are watching closely. Many remember the fate of Thomas Sankara, Africa's Che Guevara, who was assassinated in 1987 after challenging imperialist structures and corporate exploitation. Now history seems to echo once more. Will Traoré survive both the poison and the politics? Or will Burkina Faso once again be dragged into the shadows by those who wear suits instead of uniforms? Whatever happens next, it's clear. This is not just a political drama, it's a war for the soul of a nation, and perhaps for Africa itself. Stay vigilant. The next chapter may be closer than we think. Just days after the leaked document shook the capital and cast suspicions across the transitional government, another explosive development has rocked the nation. A secret audio recording has surfaced, allegedly capturing a conversation between two senior military officers plotting a counter-coup against Captain Ibrahim Traoré. The recording, which has spread like wildfire on encrypted messaging apps and underground forums, reportedly reveals detailed plans to overthrow Traoré within a 2-week window. The conspirators, believed to be high-ranking members of the former regime loyal to ousted President Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, can be heard discussing strategies for seizing control of key installations in Ouagadougou, including the state media, the central bank, and the presidential residence. In the audio, one voice is heard saying, "He is alone now. The people worship him, but the command chain is cracking. If we move with precision, the West will back us quietly." This chilling line has sparked outrage and fear across the country. What does it mean that foreign actors may once again be involved in orchestrating an internal power shift? Traoré's government responded swiftly. Several senior officers were arrested overnight, including one colonel with strong ties to foreign military advisors previously stationed in Burkina Faso. A state of heightened military alert has been declared. Travel by high-ranking officials has been temporarily suspended, and for the first time in months, heavily armed troops have returned to the streets of the capital, not to defend against terrorists, but to defend against their own ranks. But this isn't just about power. What the recording reveals goes deeper than political ambition. It speaks to a civil war within the armed forces, divided between those who believe in Traoré's Pan-Africanist vision and those who still serve the interests of a global system that thrives on resource extraction, political instability, and controlled chaos. Analysts fear that if this conflict isn't diffused quickly, it could spiral into a full-scale military fracture, one that insurgent groups could exploit with deadly consequences. Already reports are emerging of armed cells in the northern provinces regrouping, possibly emboldened by the chaos unfolding in the capital. And in the midst of this storm, Traoré himself remains largely out of public view, still recovering from the suspected poisoning. His absence is being filled by a mix of speculation, loyalty oaths, and fear. Can he return with enough strength and authority to stop what may already be in motion? Meanwhile, international reactions have been muted. No strong condemnation, no show of support, just silence. A silence that many Burkinabe now interpret as complicity. The people are once again taking to the streets, not in protest, but in vigil, lighting candles outside government buildings, chanting for unity, and warning any would-be traitors that this time the people are watching. Because for the citizens of Burkina Faso, this is no longer just about Traoré. This is about sovereignty, survival, and the right to determine their own future without betrayal from within or manipulation from abroad. The plot thickens. The storm intensifies, and as Burkina Faso stands on the edge of another possible coup, one question burns in the minds of its people. Will justice rise before the nation falls? Just when the nation thought the danger couldn't escalate further, a new revelation sends shockwaves through Burkina Faso's fragile power structure. This time, it doesn't come from the military, foreign operatives, or traitors within. It comes from a foreign journalist, smuggled into the country weeks ago, who claims to possess classified NATO intelligence reports directly implicating several African leaders, including a close regional ally of Traoré, in a coordinated operation to isolate and ultimately remove him from power. The journalist, whose identity remains protected, released a redacted dossier showing communications between diplomatic outposts in West Africa and intelligence agencies in Europe. These documents, marked eyes only, reveal troubling strategies. Fund and arm opposition groups, economically strangle the regime through controlled trade disruptions, and launch a media campaign to discredit Traoré's rule by linking him to alleged war crimes. But the most stunning part of the leak is the mention of a covert initiative named Project Obsidian. According to the documents, Project Obsidian was conceived 2 years ago as a contingency plan in case any West African state began to sever ties with Western military partnerships and shift towards Pan-African sovereignty. Burkina Faso under Traoré became target number 1 after the transitional government suspended French military cooperation and began strengthening regional alliances independent of Western oversight. Project Obsidian isn't just political, it's deeply psychological. It includes detailed profiles of Burkinabe influencers, activists, and religious leaders deemed capable of swaying public opinion. Some were unknowingly paid through NGOs and international aid programs to slowly change their rhetoric. To promote peace, yes, but also to subtly sow doubt about Traoré's leadership and his legitimacy. The plan was to weaken him not by force, but by eroding the trust of the people who once hailed him as a revolutionary savior. And just days before this leak, a prominent religious figure known for his neutrality suddenly shifted tone in a televised speech, questioning the government's trajectory and calling for a return to structured diplomacy. Was this part of Project Obsidian in action? Now, all eyes are on Traoré's inner circle once again. Who among them knew about this? who might have been compromised by the subtle mechanisms of influence, surveillance, and propaganda? And above all, can the transitional government survive a war that's being fought not just on battlefields, but in whispers, inboxes, and broadcasts? The people once again are confused but not silent. Across marketplaces, in villages, on social media, voices are rising with a single cry: let us choose our own path. But the forces aligned against that path are vast, hidden, wealthy, and willing to wait. As Captain Ibrahim Traoré regains strength after his near-fatal poisoning, he now faces a truth darker than betrayal. He is not just battling traitors or terrorists. He is fighting an invisible empire that thrives in shadows and strikes without warning. And as night falls on Ouagadougou, the silence feels heavier than ever, because everyone now knows the real war has only just begun.